The impossible shot rang out across the Austrian Alps at exactly 13:47 hours, a single 9 mm round from a standard Glock 17 pistol that traveled 800 meters through mountain air to drop an enemy sniper with surgical precision. But the 12 soldiers of Mountain Patrol Unit 7 who had been pinned down in the narrow canyon never suspected that their salvation would come from the woman they dismissed as Pack Mule, the forgotten team member who carried their supplies while they carried the glory. 33-year-old Clara Weiss shouldered 40 pounds of equipment while her male teammates carried standard combat loads, treating her like a walking supply depot rather than a trained soldier. Squad leader Sergeant Hans Eagle Miller had made his position clear. Weiss, you're here to carry gear, not play soldier. Leave the fighting to real warriors. What they didn't know was that their pack mule was actually their guardian angel. What happened next would shatter every assumption about Clara's capabilities and prove that sometimes the most dangerous person on the team is indeed the one carrying the medical supplies. The Austrian Alps in 2023 presented a unique theater of operations where NATO forces conducted joint training exercises near the Afghan border facility. The Ötztal Valley, with its narrow canyons and treacherous terrain, served as the perfect proving ground for mountain warfare specialists. Here, among peaks that had witnessed centuries of conflict, international units tested their mettle against both nature and simulated enemy forces. The mountainous environment demanded specialized skills that went beyond conventional military training. Soldiers needed to understand altitude effects on ballistics, weather pattern recognition, and the unique challenges of operating in terrain where a single misstep could prove fatal. The Austrian military's expertise in alpine warfare made them valuable partners in preparing international forces for similar environments in Afghanistan and other mountainous regions. The military culture within these specialized units reflected traditional attitudes about gender roles and combat effectiveness. Despite decades of progress in women's military service, support roles were still often viewed as secondary to combat positions. This created environments where valuable skills and knowledge could be overlooked if they didn't conform to expected stereotypes about military capability. Clara Weiss had grown up in the shadow of the Austrian Alps, where her grandfather, a decorated Gebirgsjäger from World War II, had taught her to read mountain weather and understand the subtle signs that indicated changes in terrain stability. Her childhood had been spent learning to shoot in conditions that would challenge professional marksmen: high altitude, variable winds, and extreme temperature fluctuations. Her military career had begun conventionally enough, but her exceptional marksmanship and understanding of mountain warfare had quickly attracted attention from the Austrian Special Forces Alpine Sniper Division. Her training from 2015 to 2019 had been among the most rigorous in the world, combining traditional sniper skills with specialized techniques for extreme range shooting in alpine conditions. Her service record included deployments to Afghanistan, where she had worked alongside international forces, providing precision fire support in some of the most challenging terrain on Earth. Her confirmed kills numbered in the dozens, but more importantly, her ability to eliminate threats at extreme range had saved countless lives among the soldiers she protected. The budget cuts that had ended her military career in 2019 had been devastating personally, but had also created an opportunity for her to serve in a different capacity. Her decision to accept a support role with Mountain Patrol Unit 7 had been motivated by a desire to continue serving, even if it meant accepting a dramatically reduced status and constant disrespect from her teammates. The systematic dismissal of Clara's capabilities represented more than simple gender bias. It reflected institutional blindness to the diverse forms of military excellence that could enhance unit effectiveness. Her teammates' focus on traditional combat roles prevented them from recognizing the tactical advantages that her specialized skills could provide. The condescending treatment she received wasn't just personally humiliating, it was tactically dangerous. Her knowledge of the terrain, understanding of mountain warfare, and exceptional marksmanship skills represented force multipliers that could mean the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. The unit's failure to utilize these capabilities left them vulnerable to threats they couldn't identify or counter. Her quiet acceptance of this treatment reflected both her professionalism and her understanding that proving her worth would require actions rather than words. Her decision to maintain her cover while secretly protecting her teammates demonstrated the kind of selfless dedication that defined true military service. But the Ötztal Valley was about to present a threat that would test every assumption about combat roles and reveal why the most dangerous person on the team might be the one everyone had forgotten. The morning patrol on October 15th began like countless others, a routine movement through the Ötztal Valley, designed to test the unit's ability to operate in challenging alpine terrain. Intelligence reports suggested minimal enemy activity, making it an ideal training scenario for the 12-man patrol. Clara shouldered her standard 40-pound load of water, medical supplies, and climbing equipment while her teammates divided tactical responsibilities among themselves. The mission parameters seemed straightforward: establish observation points along suspected infiltration routes and report on any unusual activity. The terrain was familiar to Clara from her childhood, but her teammates dismissed her local knowledge as irrelevant to military operations. Her suggestions about optimal routes and potential danger areas were politely ignored in favor of GPS coordinates and official tactical planning. Her role in the patrol was deliberately minimized. She was assigned to rear security, officially for protection, but actually to keep her out of the way during real military operations. Her teammates' assumption that support personnel couldn't contribute to tactical success reflected broader institutional biases about the value of different military roles. The pre-mission briefing had excluded Clara from tactical discussions, treating her as logistics support rather than a team member with valuable insights. Her attempts to share information about terrain features and weather patterns were dismissed as unnecessary complications to standard operating procedures. The patrol's reliance on technology and conventional tactics ignored the environmental factors that could affect mission success. Clara's personal preparation was characteristically thorough. Despite her official role as support personnel, she studied the terrain with the eye of someone who understood both its beauty and its dangers, noting potential ambush sites and escape routes that weren't marked on tactical maps. Her grandfather's teachings about reading mountain conditions had become second nature, providing insights that GPS systems couldn't match. Her equipment selection reflected her dual role as both support staff and hidden protector. While carrying the standard load of supplies, she had also ensured that her sidearm was properly maintained and zeroed for the altitude and conditions they would encounter. Her decision to carry a Glock 17 rather than a rifle was based on her role's requirements, but her confidence in the weapon's capabilities exceeded what most soldiers would consider reasonable. The patrol's movement through the valley proceeded smoothly for the first several hours, with Clara maintaining her assigned position while observing environmental conditions that her teammates missed. Her ability to read the terrain and weather patterns provided early warning of potential problems, but her insights were dismissed as irrelevant observations from someone who didn't understand real military operations. The first signs of trouble came when Clara noticed subtle changes in wildlife behavior and wind patterns that suggested human activity in areas where none should exist. Her attempts to communicate these observations to the patrol leader were dismissed as nervous chatter from someone who was seeing things that weren't there. Her growing concern about the tactical situation was based on environmental indicators that her specialized training had taught her to recognize. The absence of normal wildlife sounds, subtle disturbances in vegetation, and inconsistent wind patterns all suggested the presence of individuals who were deliberately concealing their activities. The patrol's continued movement toward what Clara recognized as a potential ambush site created increasing tension for her. Her role as support staff prevented her from taking direct action to alter the patrol's route, while her understanding of the terrain made her aware of the danger they were walking into. But Clara's worst fears were about to be realized as the patrol entered a narrow canyon where her environmental observations would prove tragically accurate. The narrow canyon that the patrol entered was a textbook example of dangerous terrain that Clara had been trying to warn them about. The high walls on both sides created perfect fields of fire for anyone positioned on the ridges above, while the limited escape routes made the patrol vulnerable to even a single well-positioned enemy. Her attempts to communicate these concerns had been dismissed as unnecessary worry from someone who didn't understand tactics. The enemy sniper's position, roughly 800 meters away on a rocky outcrop, provided commanding views of the entire canyon floor. His professional setup and patient approach suggested advanced training and extensive preparation for this specific ambush. The sophistication of his position indicated that this wasn't a random encounter, but a carefully planned attack on NATO forces. Clara's recognition of the tactical situation was immediate and comprehensive. Her training in alpine warfare had taught her to identify optimal sniper positions, and her understanding of the terrain made it clear that the patrol was trapped in a kill zone with limited options for escape or counterattack. The enemy's patience in waiting for the optimal moment to engage suggested professional military training. The patrol's communications with headquarters revealed the desperate nature of their situation. The nearest sniper team was hours away, and the terrain made helicopter extraction impossible under current weather conditions. The unit was effectively on its own, facing a threat that their conventional tactics couldn't address. Muller's increasingly frantic radio calls painted a grim picture of their predicament. His team was pinned down with limited ammunition, facing an enemy who had superior position and unlimited time to wait for the perfect shot. The psychological pressure of being trapped in a kill zone was beginning to affect the patrol's cohesion and decision-making ability. The enemy sniper's systematic approach to the engagement demonstrated professional competence that exceeded what the patrol had been trained to expect. His precise shot placement and patient targeting suggested that this was more than a random attack. It was a deliberate test of NATO forces' ability to respond to asymmetric threats in challenging terrain. Clara's transformation from passive support staff to active protector began with her recognition that conventional military responses were inadequate for their situation. Her specialized training and understanding of the terrain provided solutions that her teammates couldn't see, but her support role prevented her from taking direct action without authorization. Her decision to prepare for a shot that would exceed the normal capabilities of her weapon reflected both her confidence in her abilities and her understanding that unconventional problems required unconventional solutions. Her calculation of wind speed, elevation, and bullet drop drew on years of experience shooting in similar conditions. The psychological preparation for taking a shot that would either save her teammates or expose her true capabilities was enormous. Her decision to act represented a choice between maintaining her cover and protecting the lives of soldiers who had consistently dismissed and disrespected her. The enemy sniper's pattern of engagement suggested that he was preparing for a decisive shot that would eliminate the patrol's leadership and create panic among the remaining soldiers. His patient approach indicated professional training and the confidence that comes from extensive experience in similar situations. Clara's growing understanding of the tactical situation made it clear that conventional military responses would be inadequate. The patrol's training had prepared them for many scenarios, but not for facing a professional sniper in terrain that favored the enemy. Their survival would depend on capabilities that weren't part of their official mission parameters. The deteriorating weather conditions were adding urgency to the situation, as reduced visibility would make it increasingly difficult to identify and engage the enemy position. The window of opportunity for effective counteraction was closing rapidly, creating pressure for immediate and decisive action. And then Clara made the decision that would either save 12 lives or expose her carefully guarded secret, a choice that would transform her from forgotten support staff into the guardian angel her teammates never knew they needed. The enemy sniper's final positioning revealed his intention to systematically eliminate the patrol's leadership before engaging the remaining soldiers. Through her trained eye, Clara could see his professional setup and the methodical way he was acquiring targets. This wasn't a random attack, but a carefully planned ambush designed to maximize casualties while minimizing the enemy's exposure to return fire. Muller's desperate radio calls for support had revealed the patrol's ammunition status and tactical situation, information that the enemy sniper was likely monitoring. The conventional military response calling for backup and maintaining defensive positions was playing directly into the enemy's strategy of attrition and psychological warfare. The patrol's training had prepared them for many scenarios, but not for facing a professional sniper who had chosen his position and timing with deadly precision. Their conventional tactics were proving inadequate against an enemy who understood their doctrine and had prepared countermeasures that exploited their weaknesses. Clara faced an impossible choice that would define not just her military career, but her identity as a soldier. She could maintain her cover as support staff and watch her teammates die. Or she could reveal her true capabilities and attempt a shot that would either save them all or expose her to deadly retaliation. The technical challenges of the shot were enormous: 800 meters with a pistol, through variable mountain winds, against a target who would certainly return fire if she missed. Her confidence in her abilities was based on years of training in similar conditions, but the margin for error was non-existent. The psychological weight of the decision was equally significant. Her teammates had consistently dismissed and disrespected her, treating her as expendable support rather than a valuable team member. Her choice to risk her life for soldiers who had never shown her respect demonstrated the kind of selfless dedication that defined true military service. Clara's decision to take the shot represented more than tactical calculation. It was a moment of moral courage that transcended personal grievances and focused on the fundamental duty to protect fellow soldiers. Her preparation for the shot was methodical and professional, drawing on skills that her teammates had never suspected she possessed. Her calculation of the ballistic variables required for an 800-meter pistol shot was based on years of experience shooting in alpine conditions. The wind speed, elevation, and atmospheric pressure all affected bullet trajectory in ways that required intuitive understanding rather than mathematical precision. The moment of truth arrived as she acquired her target through her weapon sights, her breathing controlled and her heart rate steady despite the enormous pressure. The shot would either vindicate her hidden expertise or result in her death and the death of her teammates. In that moment of perfect stillness, with 12 lives hanging in the balance and her own secret about to be revealed, Clara became the embodiment of everything her grandfather had taught her about courage, precision, and the duty to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Clara's preparation for the most important shot of her life was a masterclass in the skills that her teammates had consistently undervalued. Her breathing settled into the controlled rhythm that her training had made automatic, while her mind processed the complex ballistic calculations required for an 800-meter pistol shot in variable mountain conditions. The technical challenges were extraordinary, compensating for altitude effects on bullet trajectory, accounting for wind drift across the canyon, and timing the shot to coincide with the enemy sniper's moment of maximum exposure. Her confidence was based on years of training in similar conditions, but the stakes had never been higher. Her mental preparation was equally critical. The psychological pressure of attempting a shot that would either save her teammates or expose her to deadly retaliation required the kind of emotional control that separated elite operators from conventional soldiers. Her ability to compartmentalize fear and focus on technical execution was the result of training that few people had experienced. The moment of maximum danger arrived as Clara acquired her target through her pistol sights, knowing that she would have only one opportunity to succeed. The enemy sniper's position and alertness meant that any missed shot would result in immediate and deadly retaliation. While her teammates remained unaware of the threat she was attempting to neutralize, the ballistic calculations were complex and critical: bullet drop over 800 meters, wind drift across the canyon, and the precise timing required to catch the enemy sniper during his moment of exposure. Her training had prepared her for such shots, but the margin for error was non-existent. The psychological pressure was enormous as she realized that her teammates' lives depended entirely on her ability to execute a shot that exceeded the normal capabilities of her weapon. The irony was profound. The soldiers who had dismissed her as support staff were about to be saved by skills they had never suspected she possessed. Clara's shot sequence began with her final breath control, her respiratory system settling into the natural pause that provided maximum stability for precision shooting. Her trigger finger applied steady pressure while her mind made final adjustments for the environmental conditions that would affect bullet trajectory. The 9mm round began its impossible journey across 800 meters of alpine air, following a trajectory that Clara's training and experience had calculated with precision. The bullet's path took it through variable wind conditions and atmospheric pressure changes that would have defeated less experienced shooters. The impact was immediate and decisive. The enemy sniper's body jerked as the bullet struck, his own weapon discharging harmlessly into the ground as his carefully planned ambush was ended by a single, perfectly placed shot. The threat that had pinned down 12 soldiers was eliminated by the woman they had dismissed as support staff. The aftermath was initially confused. As Muller's team tried to understand what had happened, the sudden silence from the enemy position and the absence of incoming fire suggested that the threat had been neutralized, but none of them understood how or by whom. Clara's calm holstering of her weapon and adjustment of her pack straps provided the first clue about what had occurred. Her matter-of-fact demeanor in the aftermath of an impossible shot suggested that such marksmanship was routine for her, even though her teammates had never suspected her capabilities. Muller's binocular confirmation of the enemy sniper's death created the first moment of understanding about what Clara had accomplished. The precision of the shot and the extreme range at which it had been executed exceeded anything in his experience, forcing him to reconsider everything he thought he knew about his team's capabilities. The revelation of Clara's true background, Austrian Special Forces Alpine Sniper Division with years of experience in Afghanistan, transformed the team's understanding of their support staff. The woman they had treated as a pack carrier was revealed as one of Austria's most elite marksmen, with skills that exceeded those of anyone else on the patrol. Muller's immediate radio call to headquarters requesting Clara's reinstatement to combat status reflected his recognition that he had been criminally underutilizing his team's most valuable asset. His recommendation for her promotion and assignment as designated marksman was both professional necessity and personal redemption. The psychological impact on the patrol was profound, as they realized that their survival had depended on someone they had consistently dismissed and disrespected. Their assumptions about military capability and the value of different roles had been shattered by Clara's demonstration of what true expertise looked like. But Clara's shot would have implications that extended far beyond one saved patrol, transforming military doctrine about the integration of support personnel and the recognition of diverse forms of military excellence. The Pentagon's response to Clara's 800-meter pistol shot was immediate and comprehensive. Her promotion to sergeant and assignment as the unit's designated marksman was accompanied by a complete review of how support personnel were evaluated and utilized. The incident report became required reading at military academies, demonstrating how institutional bias could waste valuable capabilities. Corporal Weber's request for transfer following his humiliation reflected the broader impact of Clara's revelation on the patrol's dynamics. His inability to face the soldier he had consistently dismissed as worthless became a catalyst for examining how military culture treated personnel in non-traditional roles. The Austrian military's response included immediate policy changes about the integration of former special operations personnel into conventional units. Clara's case demonstrated that valuable skills could be hidden by bureaucratic classifications, and that effective leadership required recognizing capabilities regardless of official job descriptions. Clara's techniques for extreme-range pistol shooting became classified training material for special operations units worldwide. Her ability to achieve precision at distances that exceeded normal weapon capabilities inspired new approaches to marksmanship training and equipment development. The Weiss Protocol was implemented throughout NATO forces, requiring comprehensive skills assessments for all personnel regardless of their official assignments. This policy change led to the discovery of numerous specialists whose capabilities had been overlooked by traditional evaluation methods. Military leadership schools began using Clara's case as a study in recognizing and developing hidden talent within organizations. Her story became a powerful reminder that assumptions about capability based on current assignment could create dangerous blind spots in operational effectiveness. Today, Clara Weiss serves as chief instructor at the Austrian Alpine Training Center, where she trains mountain warfare specialists from around the world. Her approach emphasizes that every team member possesses potential value beyond their assigned role, and that effective leadership requires the ability to recognize and develop these hidden capabilities. Her development of new protocols for integrating support personnel into combat operations has revolutionized military thinking about force structure and capability development. Her techniques have been adopted by special operations units worldwide, proving that the most valuable team members are often those whose skills are least obvious. The plaque in the Austrian Alpine Training Center bears Clara's words, "Judge not the pack carrier, for she may be the sniper who saves your life." Respect every soldier's contribution. You never know what skills they're hiding beneath their humble service. Her legacy reminds us that the woman treated as a pack mule might be the elite sniper who's been protecting everyone all along. Her story proves that we should never judge a soldier by their current assignment, but respect their service. Because we never know when their hidden skills will be the difference between life and death. Sometimes the most dangerous person on the team is indeed the one carrying the medical supplies.